Hey friends, Sleepy here, and welcome to the first episode in my brand new series, Sleepy's Essential 360 Titles. Now in this series, I'm going to share 360 different Xbox 360 titles from my collection that I feel are essential for my Xbox 360 collection, and I want to give you guys 360 different recommendations of games that I think you guys might enjoy having in your Xbox 360 collections. Now, I'm not telling you need to go out and buy every single title I suggest to you, because you may find a genre or a series that I recommend that you might not like. Some might be really expensive as well, so I'm not telling you, you have to go out and buy all these titles. But I wanted to give you guys some suggestions of titles I think you guys might enjoy having in your 360 collections that I feel are essential to having in my Xbox 360 collection. And these are all titles that I love, that I have played through. Some of them I have beat multiple times. Some of them I've played a lot but haven't beat. And in this series, I will talk about the games that I recommend to you guys, as well as I will then insert a little bit of gameplay clips so you guys can get a few minutes of what the game looks like as it's playing. So we're going to get started here. Now, this first episode, I wanted to talk about some of my favorite horror titles that were released for the Xbox 360, as there were some really amazing games released on the Xbox 360 that are horror titles. And this first one is a personal favorite of mine, and that is the original Deadspace. I absolutely loved this game when it came out. I rented it from Family Video. I actually bought it. This is the copy that I rented from Family Video back in the day. I bought it a few months after it was released, as they had it put up for sale. And I really loved this game because it was just a really awesome third-person horror title. Now, you play as the main protagonist, whose name is Isaac Clarke. Now, in this one, he does not talk at all. He's completely silent in the game, and that just really adds to the horror factor. So I'll read you guys stuff from the back. There's no help coming. A massive deep space mining ship goes dark after unearthing a strange artifact on a distant planet. Engineer Isaac Clarke embarks on a repair mission only to uncover a nightmarish bloodbath. The ship's crew horribly slaughtered and infected by an alien scourge. Now Isaac is cut off, trapped, and engaged in a desperate fight for survival. Strategically dismember the necromorph enemies, limb by bloody limb. Zero-gravity combat means terror can strike from anywhere, and uncover the horrific truths of this shocking thriller. So what I really liked about this game is it did something different when it comes to fighting aliens in space, because this game is definitely very terrifying. I definitely recommend playing this game at night in the dark with headphones on if you have them. A great thing is this game is backwards compatible on Xbox One and Series X consoles, so you do get a boost in performance and graphics if you play them on there, but they will still run fantastic on the Xbox 360 consoles as well. I really loved it. So you fight these unique alien creatures called necromorphs, and what they are is they're humans that have been infected and turned into these necromorph creatures, and there's a variety of different kinds of necromorphs that you will fight, which is awesome. So you're not always fighting the same kinds, and they can come out of vents at any time, and the atmosphere of the game is just really scary. The ambience, the music, is just really awesome. And how you fight them is Isaac Clarke gets his first weapon, which is a plasma cutter. It's a tool that they use. Well, you use it to actually dismember the necromorphs, because the necromorphs cannot be killed with like headshots, body shots, normal third-person shooters with aliens and stuff. You want to go for headshots and stuff. Well, in this, if you shoot their heads off, it does nothing. They're still going to come at you. You actually have to dismember the necromorphs by shooting off their arms and legs, and so if you blow off their legs, it'll actually make the enemies fall to the ground, but they're still going to come crawling after you. And so you can also work on stomping the enemies as well, which is really cool. It's satisfying, it's really bloody, it's gory, and it's just really amazing. Has great voice actors for the other characters, because Isaac isn't voice acted in this one. And it has a fantastic story that's broke up among several different chapters, and it just has a really good story. Now, you guys know me, I don't want to ruin anything with the story, but it's definitely one you have got to play and check out if you're a fan of horror games. Third-person horror game. It's done really well. The atmosphere is just there. It really feels claustrophobic. You know, you're on the ship, the Ishimura. It's been taken over. The power sometimes works, sometimes the power doesn't work. It's really dark at times, and the necromorph creatures can follow you between rooms. They also can go through the ventilation shafts to attack you. There's a variety of them. They will try to flank you as well. Sometimes you might be fighting a few in front of you, and one might jump into a duck, and he might run around and try to get behind you. So you really have to be careful. You know, you never actually really feel safe in the game. As you do play through the game, you will unlock a variety of different weapons, which you can then upgrade, because there is a fantastic upgrade system you do with these power nodes that you find. However, sometimes those power nodes, you want to save them, because you can actually unlock doors within the Ishimura, which they can unlock a bunch of supplies for you. So sometimes you have to decide, you know, do I want to upgrade something, or do I want to save that node to unlock a room? So I personally like to save at least one node at all times in case I run across a room that I want to unlock. And there's several different difficulty levels on this, an easy all the way up to a super hard mode, which is great. I have beat this game a couple different times because the game does have a New Game Plus mode where you can then carry over your stats and replay the game now again, and you can work on upgrading, because you can't fully upgrade everything in one playthrough. You actually have to play through it more than once, which is awesome. It's got great boss battles and just a really fun game. Highly recommend you guys check out Deadspace. So let's take a look at Deadspace. Alright guys, so we're checking out some Deadspace 1. It's got a cool menu system. It actually displays from his suit. You got a 3D map you can go through. You have your inventory, which you only have so many slots, but as you level up with different suits, you actually unlock new slots for that. So I have a level 6 suit, so I have a total of 25 slots where you have to, you know, decide when you want to have health packs with you, ammo for your weapons, that kind of thing. You have power nodes that you use to upgrade your weapons and your suit. Keep track of what your mission is, and you have a database that keeps track of the different logs and stuff that you guys find. There's also a cool store in the game where you can get credits from killing enemies, and you can buy different weapons like a plasma cutter, line gun, that kind of thing. You also see what's in your inventory, because you can sell what you have in your inventory if you want to get credits. They also have a safe that you can then throw into the safe that you can then use between multiple playthroughs. You can save all the extra stuff you have. Let's say you have too many health packs right now, and you can put them in the safe to save them for later. And I have like 300,000 some credits, but that's because this is my second playthrough of playing the game because of its New Game Plus mode. So I'm going to pause it here and then get into some combat so you guys can see what combat is like. Alright friends, we're about to enter some combat here. I do recommend stopping all the enemies you kill, because you can then get them to drop items. Just wanted to give you guys a little taste of the game, get you a little feel for like the combat and stuff. And as you saw, the necromorphs, they come out of the vents and stuff, and there's different varieties of them.
So you saw there's some different, stronger ones. Oh, there's another one. And of course, the harder difficulty you play on, the harder it's going to be. This one was on easy when I first played the game, so it's really easy. I'd recommend playing it on normal, as you'll have a much more challenging experience. It'll be much more fun. The game does have that, has a stasis thing, so you can actually slow down enemies, or you can slow down things, like maybe there's a fan turbine spinning or something, you can actually throw that in to make them go slower. And there's also using this kinesis field where you can actually pull things around. But just wanted to give you guys a little look at Dead Space 1. Definitely think you guys should add this one to your collection.
Alright, so there was a little look at Dead Space. I hope you guys enjoyed that look. Now let's move on to the second game. And this one I liked even more than this first one, and that was Dead Space 2, the sequel to Dead Space. Now what's really awesome is this game is a lot longer than the first Dead Space game. This was actually released on 2 discs for the Xbox 360. It is also backwards compatible on Xbox One and the Series X consoles, which I do recommend playing them on there if you have them. You get a boost in graphics performance again, but it still runs great on the Xbox 360 consoles as well. And this continues from the story in Dead Space 1, so a direct sequel to it. So I'll read you guys stuff from the back. So bring the terror to space. After waking from a coma on a massive space city known as the Sprawl, Isaac Clarke must battle dementia, the government, and visions of his dead girlfriend as he dominates a gruesome new necromorph onslaught. Tear through space with full 360-degree movement, wield devastating tools to dominate the alien outbreak, and it also had an online mode. There's also 2 DLC that you could get for this game as well, that you get to play as different characters. Those were both phenomenal as well. So what I really loved about this game is that it took everything that was great in the first Dead Space and it just amped it up even more. You got a whole bunch of new necromorphs to fight. Isaac actually talks in this one, and they really just improved the visuals, they improved the combat. Just everything that was great about the first Dead Space was done even better in Dead Space 2, and I really enjoyed my time with this one. I beat this one multiple times, as well as I also beat the DLC add-ons, and you get to play the little shorter stories. There's the collectibles to find in the game, things to do. This had a phenomenal story as well. Amazing graphics. I really loved it. Another one, I recommend playing it dark with the headphones on. You have a return to the necromorphs. There's new weapons in this, as well as some of the classic favorites. Again, you have to dismember the necromorphs before they come and attack you, and there's new bosses to fight, and it just had a really fantastic story that I really loved, and it just keeps you on the edge of your seat. Again, you don't ever feel safe. You're no longer confined to a ship. Now you have this entire city to go through, the Sprawl. And what's really cool, too, in this one is Isaac Clarke is suffering from dementia and hallucinations, and so there's real kinds of crazy horror shit that'll happen. You'll see things that aren't there, and you question whether it's really there or it's not there, and it can really, messes with your psyche. And it just was a phenomenal game. I really love this sequel to Dead Space 1 with Dead Space 2. They really amped up the difficulty, especially if you play in the higher difficulty levels. They amped up the horror factors in it. It just was a really wonderfully well-crafted sequel to a wonderful horror game, which is Dead Space 1, here in Dead Space 2, and I really enjoyed it. I did beat this one multiple times, different difficulty levels as well. It also has that new Game Plus mode, so you can play through again and keep your stuff and then play through and get your character leveled up even more. And I had a lot of fun with Dead Space 2. Highly recommend you guys add Dead Space 2 to your collection. So let's check out some gameplay of Dead Space 2. Now we're going to check out some Dead Space 2. And very similar to the first game, obviously, has a similar menu system, just like you had with Dead Space 1. You have the different suits you can get, the different inventory slots. You can track of the missions you do, as well as the database of the different audio logs and things you found throughout the game. You know, you keep track of your health on your back, and you have a similar amount of different weapons you can choose from as well. So just like with the first game, you got to dismember the enemies in order to kill them, because they don't die from being headshots or anything. And this one did have a variety of different necromorphs for you to fight. Now, I'm at the very end of the game as I loaded this save file, so I can't really go too much further than here because I don't want to ruin any story for you guys, but I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of the gameplay. But you have a variety of different weapons you can use as well, which is cool. Like this saw whip. And this is an electrical weapon that's pretty cool. And you have this little beam weapon you can put out so that when enemies run into it, they'll actually get killed from it. So there's a variety of weapons for you to have, different suits for you to get, and upgrades for Isaac. But it was such a great sequel to the original Dead Space, and you got to do so much more in Dead Space 2. It just took what was great in Dead Space 1 and just brought it up even better. Better graphics, better controls, new weapons, new monsters to fight, a larger story, and just overall a really good game. Definitely recommend Dead Space 2. Alright friends, so that was our look at Dead Space 2, a phenomenal sequel to that amazing Dead Space 1, continuing the story of Isaac Clarke. Highly recommend you guys add this one to your collection as well. And now we're going to move on to the third game in this series, which is Dead Space 3. I love this game, and I definitely will admit this is definitely the weakest of the 3 Dead Space games, as EA focused more on combat and to be more of an action-oriented game than being more horror like the first 2 Dead Space games. So a lot of people kind of hated the fact that this had a lot of action in it, but I really did enjoy my time with this. Really good. Read you guys from the back. So team up and take down the terror together. Crash landed on a frozen planet, Isaac Clarke must face deadlier evolved enemies and the brutal elements as he fights for his own survival and that of mankind. Head planetside and explore a hostile new environment. Discover the truth, stop the plague, save mankind. Scavenge for parts and build your own ultimate weapon. So this game did have a big emphasis on crafting weapons and creating your own, which is different from the previous Dead Space games, as well as all the weapons use the same ammo now instead of having their own ammo types like in the first 2 games. You know, if you had a flamethrower, it had a flamethrower ammo. If you had a shotgun ammo, you know, like that. This one has a universal ammo that is used for all the different weapons that you can create, and you get to come up with your own combination stuff, which was really good. I beat this game multiple times. Now there is something I never did play on this, and that was there is a co-op mode where the second player plays at this guy named Carver, and there's actually some missions that you'll run into as you play through the game that are locked that you have to play co-op, which I have not played this game co-op yet. And because of that, I've actually missed out on a few different levels. So I would love to eventually someday play and beat this game with a co-op partner. I think that would be really amazing. It was really awesome. I had a lot of fun with this game. It's a direct sequel to Dead Space 2 and continues the story. Now, I know some people were kind of upset with the ending as it kind of was a vague, left open ending for a future game that we never received. Maybe someday we will, but it's one I think you guys should check out and play, as I had a lot of fun with Dead Space 3. Really awesome, more new necromorphs to fight, even stronger enemies, new bosses, and the game really ramps up in difficulty, especially if you play on the harder difficulty settings, as it's not an easy game, but it's really awesome. Now, it's not as much horror elements as the first Dead Space games, but there are still some moments in this game that'll freak you out, especially playing it in a dark room and having headphones and all. This game is also backwards compatible on Xbox One and Series X, like the first two Dead Space games, so highly recommend you play it on those, as you'll get a boost in performance and graphics, of course, but it still runs great on the Xbox 360. And just like Dead Space 2, Dead Space 3 has 2 discs as well. And I had a fantastic time with this one, so let's check out some gameplay of Dead Space 3. Alright, now we're going to check out some gameplay of Dead Space 3.
Buckle. Isaac. What have we done? Where is everyone? They're headed for a research facility up the ridge. We found snowsuits, but there weren't enough to go around, so I decided to stay behind. There might be more down in the basement. Might be. Well, the elevator shot, and we heard something scratching around down there, so we didn't check. Buckle.
So just like the previous Dead Space games, they have this similar HUD here where it displays from his little rig. You have your missions, you can go to your database of the different collectibles that you'll find, audio logs, that kind of thing. You have the scavenger bots in this game that you can actually use to scavenge for resources throughout the game, which is pretty cool. And then you have your inventory, which keeps track of the different weapons that you've built. And then also, just like the previous games, you know, you can upgrade your suits, you can get better ones as you play through the game, and you can hold up to 25 slots when you get that maxed out. You have your health stuff. You have your stasis pack that'll refill your stasis, which you can then use to slow down enemies. And then, you know, unlike the first 2 Dead Space games, all the guns use the same ammo, just a plain ammo clip, so you can use for your own. And then you can also customize and make your own weapons. Like, I have an elite planet cracker and a plasma repeater, so basically like a double plasma cutter together on my bots. And then I have this afterburner with a rifle, so it's really cool because you can make your own combinations, but I love this with the dual plasma cutters. So there's some enemies out here we're going to fight, so you guys can see what the combat is like in this one, which is similar to Dead Space 1 and 2, you know, where you have to dismember the necromorphs. You know, you can't go for headshots because they'll keep coming at you. And there was a lot tougher enemies in this one than in the previous Dead Spaces. Woo! And just like in the other Dead Space games, you know, you want to stomp on the enemies because sometimes that's how you get them to drop different items for you. And on this one, you actually have to keep track of Isaac's core body temperature when he's out here in the frozen area, because he doesn't have his helmet on right now, so he could actually freeze to death. So you have to find places to heat up and warm up through parts of the game. But I just wanted to give you guys a little taste here of Dead Space 3. You know, it was just... I found it just as awesome as Dead Space 1 and 2. Now, you know, it's not as good as the first 2. You know, it's a little bit more action, more fighting than the horror elements that the original 2 had. But it's still definitely worth playing through, especially if you played Dead Space 1 and 2. You know, I recommend play through the whole trilogy. because that way you'll get the full experience. And here's a little trick on Chapter 9 that my brother and I discovered. That you can keep going in and out of this door and it'll keep respawning the item right there. It was a little trick that my brother and I discovered. A lot of other people discovered as well, and they never patched it out of the game. So if you're really low on resources and you make it to Chapter 9, you can stock up on a lot of these resources that you need by doing that little trick. That really helped me out, especially on the harder difficulty. But I just thought you guys should definitely check out Dead Space 3. It's an amazing horror game. Highly recommend Dead Space 3. Alright friends, so that was our look at Dead Space 3. I had a lot of fun with this one. Now I will admit, it wasn't as good as the first two Dead Space games, but I still think it should be in your collection, as it's, the final part in the Dead Space trilogy. You're getting to play as Isaac Clarke, you get to fight new Necromorphs, and it doesn't take place just in one area. It takes place on multiple different ships in a space to free field, and then also you get to go down to an icy planet. So there's a variety of locations that you go through, a much larger game, and one that I really had a lot of fun with. Highly recommend Dead Space 3 as well. Now we'll move on to our fourth horror title, and this is one that is a personal favorite of mine. Absolutely love this game, and that is Deadly Premonition. This is a very interesting, unique horror title that reminds me a lot of Twin Peaks. It's just got some very odd stuff to it. Got a lot of mixed reviews. I really like it. It can be kind of janky at times. It's not as polished as some of the other AAA games out there are. It's a AA game. But it's one that I really had a lot of fun with. It's got unique stuff to it, because it's a horror game, survival horror, but it's also got open world mixed in with it. It's got some comedy, you got some happy moments, you got really creepy, scary moments, you've got really odd moments as well, and it's just a really awesome horror game that's unlike anything else I've ever played in my life. So welcome to Greenvale, a remote rural town where mystery and murder go hand in hand. Assume the role as Agent Francis York Morgan, so you're an FBI agent, come here to this little town to investigate this murder of this young lady and delve deeper into Greenvale's deadly secrets. Interrogations, investigations, and bloody crime scenes await you in this seemingly sleepy town. Can you survive long enough to fulfill your deadly premonition? So it just was a really odd game. I picked it up. It starts off with the horror elements as you fight these ghost-like weird creatures. They're different. There's different kinds, men, women, different kind of professions that they are, and it's just really crazy. They talk to you in really strange voices. I want to get you, and they're just really bizarre creatures. They have like black soulless eyes and black mouths that look like they're bleeding black blood, and when they come to attack you, they will actually sometimes bend over backwards and come attack you, and they try to attach themselves to you, and they try to like suck your soul out of your body, and it's just really odd. But you get to fight with third-person controls, and you have a variety of different weapons to dispatch them, as well as sometimes there are environmental hazards you can use, blow up like explosive containers to destroy the enemies, and it just has a really unique story, and you get to go through and investigate the town. Now there is a 24-hour time clock, so the game does have a timer where you have a night and day cycle, and some of these missions you take on you can only do during certain times, and you get to stay at a little hotel in the game, and it has a unique little caretaker there that you get to interact with, and you got to go through as you play through the game, and you're going to solve the different mysteries, and you get to investigate crime scenes and solve puzzles and to figure out who the killer is, because in the story there's this raincoat wearing creature, this villain that stalks you throughout different parts of the game. He has these really cool red eyes, and you have to like run away from him, and you're trying to figure out who the hell he is, and you have to question the different citizens in the town to figure out who in the town is the killer, or who is the killer, what is the killer. And as you play through the game, you know, you'll uncover the different mysteries of the town, and it's just really freaky. And like I said, if you've watched the Twin Peaks show, you know, it has a lot of Twin Peaks vibes to this. Just a really odd story, but it's really fantastic. Now, this is backwards compatible on the Series X and Xbox One, so I recommend playing it on there, because you do get a boost in loading times, graphical performance, and everything, but it still runs fine on the Xbox 360 console, and it's one that I really love. Now, I have not beat this one, but I got really far into it, a little over halfway. Now, what's cool about this is you can replay missions anytime you want to that you beat, and you can replay them to unlock stuff you might have missed, because there are collectibles in this game, like trading cards, and some of them you can only get on the second run through of those missions that you have played. Really awesome game. Highly recommend Deadly Premonition. Now, I do have to warn you, unfortunately this game has gotten very expensive in the last few years, but it's one that I highly recommend adding to your collection if you can get it for a good price, because it is a really unique horror title. So let's take a look at Deadly Premonition.
Alright friends, we're going to check out some Deadly Premonition.
Previously during the investigation. So, you want to find out everything there is?
So what's cool was between the different chapters, it'll actually give you a recap of what happened. So in case you haven't played the game for a while, you know, you'll get a recap of the story of what you did in the past, which is cool. And you can save at these little phones here.
Hey, am I still a suspect? No. Okay, good. My wife and I have been living separately for over 3 years now. Diane, she's a single woman, so it shouldn't be a problem. That's true. I feel so bad for Diane, though. Gosh, did you find out who did it? I can't discuss that. Yes, of course, I understand. You don't have to tell any of the folks around town about me and Diane, do you? No, I won't do that. But it's a small town. I'm sure the rumors have started already. Nothing to be ashamed of, right? What's there to worry about? Nothing in particular. No, nothing at all. I'm clean as the sheets in this hotel. What's with that look? You don't have a problem, right? Looks like Casey was involved with another woman in town. I can only hope it isn't Emily.
So I just wanted you guys to see an example of some of the weird cutscenes you'll get into with the music, and it's kind of funky and weird at times, but it just adds to the charm of the game. And you can see that's really good voice acting. And I'll show you guys, because you can talk with different NPCs in the world. Like here's Polly, and it's not always voice. A lot of it will be also text.
Oh, hi.
What can I do for you, Mr. Morgan? You can buy stuff from her. Just hold on a moment then. And you can buy things from her that you can use, like bullets for the different guns you have, health things like cola so you can resume your health. And it has to do with the money you have, which I have $14,000, which you earn money as you play through the game. And there's different shops and stuff available, different costs to things. Like you have your cigarettes, which he's a big cigarette smoker, which is a big focus in the game as well. Thank you, Mr. Morgan, and try to take it easy today. So it's just really unique, too, with the interactions, the dialogue. You know, it's just kind of, it's like a lot of genres mixed in, because this kind of reminds me of, like, Shenmue, with, like, Silent Hill and Resident Evil, and you've got horror, and you've got, like, comedy stuff, and it's just really unique. So, I'm going to pause for a second and get outside, and then I'll show you guys about navigating the world. Alright, now we're outside with the free world. I'll show you guys the unique game menu, which you have the map here, which is a pretty large map of the town, which you can go through and take on the various missions in the game. But there's also side quests for you to do. There's not just the main one, but there's side quests for you. And side quests are only available during certain missions, so like mission 9, 11, and 12. This one was available anytime between 2, 4, 6, and 9. So it shows you when you can do these different missions, because the game does have a clock, so you have a day and night cycle and everything, which is cool. But you have the map that you can go through and show you the things you can do. There's also mini games in this, like you can play darts, you can do fishing. There's a variety of different little mini games you can do as well, which is really cool. And then he'll tell you what the mission is, and today I gotta go visit this guy Harry, and that's between 0800 and 2100 hours. So you have quite a bit of time during the day that I can go and do that mission. We have the key flag here. You keep track of the trading cards that you found, which there's quite a few different ones I've got so far. I'm trying to get them all. You have your profiling, because you are an FBI profiler, so you actually can profile the different cases you unlock, and you solve stuff. And if you watch this, you can actually watch him and he'll explain the story to you, which I don't want to ruin any of this, so I won't share any of that with you. You have your option menu, and you can go back to the title. So this is a really cool, unique little menu system. And you can also drive vehicles too, like the cop cars, which is cool. You can turn the turn signals on, which is pretty neat. And so you can drive around to different areas in the map. You can turn lights on too.
Zach, we've ended up with a third victim. That dive I made at the gallery ended up being a wasted attempt to save a life. It's a real mess, Zach. Dive? When's the last time I made a dive like that? Oh, I remember. Do you? It was in my late teens. We used to go to those concerts. You and I like punk rock, but we like different types of punk. You liked hard and heavy punk. Crash and Sham 69. I like the more twisted ones, like the Damn, Buzzcocks, Iggy Pop, Joy Division. We used to talk for hours about the bands we really liked, but for some reason, neither of us listened to the Sex Pistols. I wonder why that was. So strange thinking about it now.
You can adjust the camera perspective, so you can be in the car. You can mess with the wipers if you want to, lights and stuff. But it's just really unique, just a really odd game, you know. It was such an interesting game that I have played. So now I'm gonna pause it, guys, and I'm gonna get into where you can actually fight enemies, so you guys can see what the combat is like. All right, now you guys can see the crazy horror part of this game. I just reloaded the very first level of this game. Here's where you get to fight your first enemy. These things are so freaking weird. So the first level will teach you how to play the game. So you can see how difficult the enemies can be at times. And sometimes you fight multiple. See, here's another one. And you definitely want to go for headshots. So when you kill them, they sometimes will drop stuff. So you do have a max you can hold in your inventory, but just wanted to give you guys a little look at this game. I think it's really awesome. Definitely one I recommend you guys check out for yourself. If you love survival horror games, you want a very unique one, Deadly Premonition is the game for you.
Hope you guys enjoyed that look at Deadly Premonition. This is definitely the most unique horror title that I have in my Xbox 360 collection. And it's one of the most unique horror titles I've ever played in my life on a video game console. Highly, highly recommend Deadly Premonition. This game is phenomenal. It can be kind of pricey, but it's definitely worth having in your collection. Highly recommend that one. And now we're moving on to our final title. Now, this is one I absolutely love. I've beat it multiple times, and that is Alan Wake, a psychological action thriller from Remedy. Read you guys from the back. So, in darkness, fight with light. When the wife of the best-selling writer Alan Wake, that's who you play as, Alan Wake, disappears on their vacation, his search turns up pages from a thriller he doesn't even remember writing. A dark presence stalks the small town of Bright Falls, pushing Wake to the brink of sanity in his fight to unravel the mystery and save the woman he loves. Part action game, part psychological thriller. Alan Wake is a pulse-pounding thrill ride. I really loved this game. This one my brother and I rented from Family Video years ago when it first came out, and it just looked really interesting, and I had a lot of fun with it, as this is a third-person survival horror game. And what's unique about this is Alan Wake is a writer, so he finds himself in a horror novel that he supposedly wrote, and as you play through the story, you find these pages, and what's on the pages actually comes true. And so Alan Wake has to fight his way to save his wife, who's been kidnapped by this thing called the Darkness. Now, the Darkness wants to stop Alan at all costs, and so what it does is it actually takes over various people from the town, and it surrounds them with this darkness, which they're impervious to weapons. You know, you can't shoot them, kill them, anything, because they have the darkness surrounding them. So what Alan has to do is he actually has to burn the light off of the Taken, as they're called, the enemies, and then it leaves them vulnerable to being killed. And there's a variety of different darkness creatures that you will fight. The darkness can also take over objects, like they could take over a crane, and it can use that against you. It can pick up objects in the world and throw them at Alan, and you got to use the flashlight to take them out. And as you play through the game, Alan has access to a variety of different weapons that he'll get, including different kinds of pistols, a rifle, a shotgun, a flare gun, which becomes very useful. Alan will also face off against some different bosses in the game, which are like stronger versions of the Taken that you'll take on. And it just had a really fantastic story. It's narrated by Alan Wake himself as you play through the story. The game has multiple different difficulty settings, as well as there are 2 DLC sequels that take place after the main game, which are really awesome. They were released free a few years ago. They offered them for free. I'm not sure if you can still download them or not, but it was really cool being able to play those after playing the main game. And it has 3 different difficulty settings: in easy, normal, and hard. I have beat it on the hardest difficulty, and I had a lot of fun with it. There's also collectibles where you can collect manuscript pages and coffee thermoses for you to find in the game. It had a wonderful story, and it had me hooked and just made me want to play the game more than once, and I have played it multiple times. This game is backwards compatible on Xbox One and Series X consoles, so you do get a boost again in the performance and graphics, like other backwards compatible games. Now, they did re-release this for the Xbox One. There is an updated Xbox One version, but I definitely would recommend having the original version in your Xbox 360 collection, as they did make some changes as far as like product placements. Like there's Energizer in this and some other stuff that they had to take out for licensing reasons in the Xbox One version. Definitely loved Alan Wake. It was a unique horror title. I love the aspect of using light and darkness. When you play as Alan, he does have regenerative health, and he regenerates whenever he goes into the light. Whenever you're in the darkness, you know, you're prone to being attacked by those taking the darkness at any time, and you always are running from one light to the next. And whenever you get to a light source, you know, it'll heal Alan, but it'll also act as a checkpoint. So let's check out Alan Wake. Alright guys, we're going to check out some gameplay of Alan Wake. I figured it'd be best just to load the first level since it does act as a tutorial and give you guys a little idea of how the game is.
I had to go to the lighthouse. I knew there was something important waiting for me there. The bridge had collapsed. I'd have to find another way to the lighthouse.
You don't even recognize me, do you, Ryder? You think you're God? You think you can just make up stuff? Play with people's lives and kill them when you think it adds to the drama? You missed your deadline! Damn. You can't stand me.
I realized that the hitchhiker was a character from the story that I wrote.
How does it feel to die by the hands of your own creation?
And Alan has a stamina meter, so you can only run so long before you get tired out. So you do have to stop running to let him get to rest up and get his stamina right back.
Stop!
I was trapped. There was no way out.
You are right. You should go into the light. You are always safe.
So it's important that you go to these lights because that's how you heal Alan.
I have something important to tell you. It goes like this. For he did not know that beyond the lake he called home lies a deeper, darker ocean green, where waves are both wilder and more serene. To its ports I've been. To its ports I've been. Do you understand?
No.
Follow my light. I entered your dream to teach you. The darkness is dangerous. It's sleeping now. When it fills you, it will wake up. There's no time. I can only show you the most important thing. The hitchhiker has been taken over by dark presence. You can't hurt him now. The darkness protects him from all harm. Only light can drive the darkness away and make him vulnerable again. Here, take the light. Turn the flashlight toward him and burn the darkness away. You did it. Now the darkness no longer protects him, but it's still inside, controlling him. He can't be saved. He's still a threat. He is still your enemy. Here, take the gun. Now you'll die. Good. You've done well. Remember what I've taught you. That is all. I will give you back your dream now.
In the nightmare, a terrible darkness was taking over the world. The lighthouse was the last safe place on Earth.
So you got to burn the darkness off them so to make them vulnerable. And they are vulnerable to headshots, so you want to try to get the best headshots on them as you can. And your flashlight has a meter. As it runs down, you're draining the batteries, and you'll have to wait for it to recharge. Or you can slap in a fresh battery if you happen to have them. But you got to be really careful when you're playing, to sparingly use the flashlight when you're able to, and when to dodge and when to run. Oh! And enemies in this darkness can spawn anywhere all around you. So sometimes they can come behind you, from the front, the side, right, and left. So you really are not safe in the darkness. You really have to get to the light. Every time you get to a new light area, it'll act as a checkpoint for you. And sometimes you can find things like flare guns or actual flares, which you can use to throw on the ground. If you need a moment of breathing room, you can throw it down and it'll make the light in the area, and it'll scare the darkness to make them back up. But I definitely think you guys should check out Alan Wake. Just wanted to give you guys a little taste of the game. Very awesome survival horror game that you should play for the Xbox 360. Alright friends, that was our look at Alan Wake. Such a phenomenal horror title. Really loved this game. It was exclusive to the Xbox 360. However, when they did release the new versions, you could get them on PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, PC. Highly recommend, though, playing the original Alan Wake on 360 because it was just awesome with its own unique horror mechanics. So there you guys go. That's 5 horror titles that I recommend you guys add to your collection. We'll do a quick little overview of these 5 games. We talked about Deadspace, awesome third-person horror game. The sequel, Dead Space 2, took everything that was amazing in Dead Space 1 and just amped it up to 10. Really awesome game. Followed by Dead Space 3, which concludes the Dead Space trilogy. It's not as good as the first 2 Dead Space games, but I really had a lot of fun with it, and it's definitely worth owning all 3 so you can get the complete story. You also could play it co-op, where a co-op partner could play as another guy, Carver, and that was something that was really unique, which I need to do because I beat the game single player, but I've never beat it in co-op, and I would like to do that someday. Talked about Deadly Premonition, which this was a really unique horror title. It's got kind of different multiple genres mixed into one. You get a lot of Twin Peaks vibe. It's definitely the most unique horror title I've ever played in any video game console. Absolutely love it. Highly recommend that one. And then we also talked about Alan Wake, a phenomenal third-person survival horror game where you fight off these Taken and you use light and dark elements into the world. It just was a really well-crafted game. Highly recommend all 5 of these titles. I think you should add to your collection. They're absolutely essential games in my Xbox 360 collection, and I love having them all. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you guys have played any of those, let me know your guys' thoughts. And those are definitely 5 games I think you guys should add to your Xbox 360 collection because I think they're essential having them in my Xbox 360 collection. Alright guys, want to thank you for watching this. Look forward to episode 2 where I'll share 5 more games that I think you should have in your 360 collections. So I'll share with you guys 5 more essential 360 games that I have in my collection. Want to thank you for watching. Take care. You guys have an amazing day. And Sleepy will see ya next time.